The shot came out of nowhere, sharp and final, slicing through the lazy Alabama afternoon like thunder no one was ready for. A 14-year-old girl in a pink hoodie stumbled backward on the steps of Willow Creek Library, clutching a sketchbook that slipped from her fingers, scattering pencils across the stone. Her name was Layla Carter. She was deaf, and just seconds before the bullet hit, she had been signing three simple words to a friend waiting by the curb. "I'm going home." She never even heard the order barked at her. She never heard the crack of the gun that tore through her chest. Her silence, her language had been mistaken for defiance. The cop who fired Officer Brent Carver stood frozen, his face tight with adrenaline and shame, sweat dripping down his temple. He muttered almost to himself. She was flashing gang signs. His partner. Officer Miller grabbed his arm, whispering harshly, "She's a kid, Brent. Jesus Christ. She's just a kid." But Carver's eyes twitched, his finger still hovering too close to the trigger, as though his body hadn't realized the damage was already done. From across the street, a woman burst out of her coffee shop apron, still tied around her waist, phone in hand, screaming, "You idiot! She's deaf! You just shot a deaf child!" Her name was Tanya Brooks, and her voice cut sharper than any siren that followed. She kept filming even as Carver snarled back. She matched the description. Black female. Suspicious. Tanya didn't flinch. Suspicious. She had a sketchbook, not a weapon. She was signing her music. I see her every day. The crowd gathered, their voices rising, but in the middle of it, Layla lay still, her hoodie darkening by the second. Inside the ambulance, EMTs pressed gauze against her chest, whispering curses, whispering prayers. "Where's her family?" one of them asked. The intake nurse checked the chart later, and one name stopped her cold: emergency contact Daniel Carter. Some had heard of him, most hadn't, but in quiet corners of Washington, his name still meant unfinished business. 1,000 miles away at an air base with no insignia, a plane lifted off into the clouds. Inside, Daniel Carter sat rigid, staring out the window, a guitar case by his side. He wasn't a rock star. He wasn't a teacher. That case held tools from another life, a life he swore he'd buried for good. But when Layla's cochlear implant triggered a fail-safe signal he had hidden years ago, Daniel knew. He whispered it under his breath. They came for her. Back at the hospital, Sterlina Ortiz scrubbed in her hands, trembling for the first time in years. She leaned over Layla's small body, whispering, "You're safe. Stay with me." Tubes slid into place, chest cracked open under surgical light, and a stubborn heart kept fighting. In the waiting area, officers tried to block witnesses, tried to seize phones. Tanya didn't stop recording. For her safety, she said to a young cop who asked her to back up. Her safety would have been not shooting her in the first place. When Daniel walked into the hospital that night, nobody recognized him. He moved like a shadow, slipping past cameras, with a badge that wasn't real but looked real enough. He stopped at the observation glass and saw his daughter, pale and still, wires crawling across her chest. He didn't touch the glass. He just whispered, "Hold on, baby." Tanya spotted him before anyone else. She walked up, eyes sharp. "You're her father." He nodded once. She showed him the footage on her cracked phone, Layla signing the shot, the scream. His jaw tightened, his voice low. "Save copies. Hide them everywhere. They'll come for it." Tanya swallowed hard. "They already tried. 2 uniforms followed me here. If I hadn't ducked into the crowd—" He cut her off. "You did the right thing. Hold on to it just a little longer. Soon it won't just be your phone carrying the truth." The truth was already trying to claw its way out. In the library parking lot, kids had spray painted on the wall, "Justice for Layla." Across town, Captain Howard Briggs typed into a private folder, "Behavioral anomaly. Erratic hand motions, subject flagged, approach with caution." He backdated it to make it look like protocol. He thought paperwork could erase a bullet. He was wrong. Daniel wasn't alone. In a dim hospital maintenance room, 2 old allies arrived: Nina Zhang, a hacker with fingers faster than thought, and Marcus Hale, broad-shouldered, watchful, a soldier who never really came home. "She's fighting," Daniel told them, eyes on the portable monitor wired to Layla's room. But the cops are already burying it. Nina tapped her keyboard. Not if I dig it back up. Within minutes, she cracked into precinct logs, sloppy encryption, lazy cover-ups. On her screen scrolled dispatch chatter. Mercer's flagged report, even a recording of Carver's voice. She was flailing her hands. I thought she was signaling. Then Captain Briggs's reply. You followed protocol. Stay quiet. Let it die down. Nina stopped the feed, her face pale. He built the lie before she even fell. Meanwhile, outside the hospital, the crowd swelled. People lit candles, held up handmade signs. She was signing. Over and over, hands lifted into the air. Open palms, a gesture louder than any chant. Inside, Officer Miguel Santos, young and torn, finally broke. He found Daniel in the chapel cap twisted in his hands. I can't fix what happened, he said, voice shaking, but I can tell you how they'll pretend it didn't. She was signing. My cousin's death. I recognized it. I told Carver 3 times and he ignored me. Then Briggs pulled me in, said I'd be reassigned if I talked, said we had to defend the badge. Santos slid a tiny card into Daniel's hand. Body cam backup before they cut it. Not the whole thing, but enough. Daniel stared at him quiet. You're not absolved. You're just useful. Decide which one you want to be tomorrow. Santos swallowed. I'll settle for alive. By dawn, the video had spread beyond Rosefield. Hashtags climbed the charts. Hands are not weapons. Justice for Layla. News anchors tried to stay neutral, but there were voices cracked watching a child crumple for signing a song. Captain Briggs held press conferences insisting she failed to comply. Officers responded to perceived threat, but Nina pushed out Mercer's voice, raw and damning. You followed protocol. Stay quiet. The internet erupted, and then Layla woke up. Her eyes open, glassy and unfocused, but her hands weak, trembling, lifted from the blanket. Daniel leaned close, his hand hovering steady over hers. Slowly, painfully, she signed one word. Here. The feed carried it live. Across the country, comments poured. We see you, stay strong, fight. Captain Briggs and Officer Carver stormed the hospital hours later, flanked by lawyers with papers thin as excuses. We have authorization to move her into custody, the lawyer said, waving a folder. Ortiz folded her arms. She's a child in critical condition. You'll roll her past me over my dead body. Carver's hand twitched toward his holster. Daniel's hand brushed the latch of his guitar case. The air turned heavy. Then Tanya's voice cut through, sharp and furious. You shot a deaf girl for signing and the world saw it. Try explaining that to every phone in this hallway. Carver froze. His eyes darted to the phones pointed at him, and his voice cracked. She was throwing signs. He chopped the air, unconsciously mimicking her. The silence that followed was worse than shouting. He had said the thing he could never take back, and every camera caught it. That night, Layla signed again for the world. My name is Layla Carter. I speak without sound. I am here. I will not disappear. Well, people cried watching it. Strangers in cities she'd never been to raised both hands in solidarity. Hashtags turned into rallies, rallies into pressure, and pressure into subpoenas. Fortis Defense, the company that had designed the predictive threat system, saw its contract suspended. The mayor who signed it, Evelyn Ross, faced federal investigation. And Captain Briggs, well, he realized a smile and a file couldn't save him anymore. His career ended the moment Layla lifted her hand and told the world she existed. In the quiet of her hospital room, Daniel sat by her side, his hand resting gently on hers. You did this, he whispered, pride and grief tangled in his voice. Layla's fingers moved, spelling one word, we. And that's how the story ends, or maybe how it begins. Because justice doesn't come easy. It doesn't come from a headline or a press conference. Sometimes it comes from a kid in a pink hoodie signing a song on the steps of a library, and a father who refused to let silence win. Now, I've got to ask you, was this justice? Did the system work once the truth came out? Or did it only bend because the whole world was watching? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what you believe because voices like Layla's can't be ignored anymore, not if we choose to see them. And if you've ever witnessed something like this, speak it, share it, because silence is exactly what they're counting on. So hit that like button, subscribe for more stories that matter, and let me know down below, what does justice look like to you?